Hi, welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy. Today we will be discussing newspaper in detail. So if you see today's news, in the first page, we can see the growth projections by the World Bank. So what World Bank is saying, it has revised the growth projections of the India from 7.2 to So from 7.2 they are reduced to 6.6 and they have highlighted the following conditions like they said that it is impact of the war in West Asia. We can see war in West Asia and there is change in the household and the government consumption as well. And there is also less industrial activity. So all these factors had led to the rise in the production of the growth rate from 7.2 to 6.6. So in the last 2 years, India on average like having the growth rate of 7%. That is very good. And then if you come to the other places, if you come here, you can see they mentioned about a scam. There is a 550 crores bank scam. So what we need to understand from this, from here we need to understand we need to have a banking regulation properly. See, we need to understand, see, banks in India comes under the control of the RBI. So this can also, we can use this also. So here also 2 IAS officers have been suspended. This is also case of the corruption. This is also case of the corruption. We can use this example in the ethics in case of the corruption or the accountability. And see, if you are getting the scams or corruption cases like this, it is purely because of the more powers and lack of accountability and lack of transparency. These are the causes whenever a corruption or a scam come into the picture. And then see here, Iran ceasefire teeters over dispute on Lebanon and Strait of Hormuz ahead of Pak talks. So here we need to understand, see, we know the in West Asia a war is going on. From the geographical point of view, we should know what are all the countries that are sharing the border along, that are sharing the border at the Strait of Hormuz. So in a geographical aspect, we need to know about the Strait of Hormuz and the countries surrounding it. And then if you come to the next pages, so these are the important news in the first page. And then this is about the issue of LPG, and they're saying, see, in order to agree with the issue of the accessibility to LPG, like LPG gases, so the government of India has these oil companies have bought in the small chota cylinders, but they are saying that the cost per kg in these small cylinders is higher than that of the bigger cylinders. So that is the main issue they are saying. And then so here also we have one more news. So green panel stays felling of trees in Nashik till April 28 for Simhastha Kumbh Mela. From the here we need to know about the green tribunal. We need to know about the green tribunal. So green tribunal, National Green Tribunal. National Green Tribunal is one of the statutory body. So it does look after the environmental issues. So India is the third country to have a statutory organization for looking after the environmental issue. So, and then if you come to the next pages, so this is all election related news, we can simply ignore. And then we need to understand this one also. See here what we can see here. Rajasthan ACB arrests the retired IAS officer Subodh Agarwal in Jal Jeevan Mission scam. So Jal Jeevan Mission scam. So before, first we need to understand Rajasthan is a like water scarcity in Rajasthan is very high, and so the purpose of Jal Jeevan Mission is to like provide the tap water connectivity. So in the tap water connectivity, the particular IAS officer has been enrolled. So this can also be used in the case of the ethics for the corruption cases. And then so this is one more thing. This is also another important news that came in the newspaper. So India's first quantum reference facility to be launched in the AP. See, we all know quantum computing. So quantum computing, like it enhances the security in communication, and it also improves the like storage capacity also. So here in Visakhapatnam, one of the prominent city in the Andhra Pradesh region, they are having they will be developing the quantum reference facility. So we should know about what is quantum reference facility and where it is going to be launched. You can use this point in case if you get any question on the quantum computing. So, and then see, this is one of the important editorial that came today in the newspaper. So what he is saying, see, from the past 10 years, the number of higher education institutions have risen from the 51,000 to 70,000. So he says that if the number of higher education institutions are increasing, then correspondingly the number of people enrolling for the higher education should also increase. But that is not the case. Only gross enrollment ratio is at 29.5%. That is very less. So he is trying to highlight what are the basic issues, see what needs to be done, or what are the measures that can be taken to address these challenges, so that the people can can enroll for the higher education institutions. So what he is saying? He's saying that the number of seats availability increases does not directly convert into the enrollment. We need to understand the more aspects of it. So what he's saying that sorry. So he's saying that, see, seats alone do not create the students. Education transforms lives when access, affordability and academic quality come together. So if you are establishing more number of institutions, does not automatically encourage the students to take up the higher education. We need to understand that access means whether they are located in a particular area where we need to have the access, and then affordability, the fee structure and the academic qualities, whether there is scope for the research, whether there is scope for the any other things. So research, if you have the scope for research, and then if you have the scope for the other things, then you can increase the access for the, excuse me, so then students will show interest to joining these higher education institutions. And then on the axis also it varied across the social groups. He's also saying that the people who wanted to access the higher education, it is also varied across the social groups, and then affordability, and then And long-term investment, if somebody is taking higher education, then they need to pay the fees. If they are making the investment for like 2 to 3 years, then what are the job opportunities? So these are all the factors that will determine the enrollment ratios in the higher education institutions. That in this article, the columnist is trying to highlight these points. At the same time, so if you wanted to increase the enrollments, see, we already know there are particular sections in society, they always wanted to like go for the higher educations. So if you wanted to increase the enrollments, then we need to target the other sections as well. So that can be improved by providing the scholarships, that can be done by giving the other incentives. So he's highlighting all these aspects. So what he's saying that the scholarship, he is highlighting the scholarships, means they are essential to essential for the equity, quality and growth. So and then they also influence the how and how many people will enter the higher education institutions. So he's trying to analyze, see what are all the things that can be done to improve the higher enrollments in the higher education institutions. So if you are reading this article, we need to read this from the point of view of the GS1 in the mains and GS2 in the mains. In the society aspect as well as the in social justice also, we need to read this one. And then this is also, and this article mainly focuses on the what are all the schemes or what are the policies that were brought in the last 10 years for the empowerment of the women. And she is also highlighting, she is mentioning about the PM Dhannan Yojana, which is mainly meant to give the mainly for the financial inclusion. And she is saying that like in this bank, in the number of bank accounts open, 55% of these bank accounts are for the women. She's saying, and then in the last 10 years, and they also had like 90 lakh self-help groups. This is all the data points they have mentioned. And then 70% of the Mudra loans are given to the women. And she's saying that what the government has done in the last 10 years for the empowerment of women. And then she also highlighting that the Nari Shakti. So Nari Shakti, the bill which came, the bill which was passed in the parliament, which gives the what we call better reservation in the legislatures or the parliament. So they're mentioning, that it is, so they are like in the coming years, women will be in a leading position. So like it is, and in the article, the columnist is saying we need to strengthen the women both electorally and the institutionally. So we need to build the institutions in such a way that like they will help the empowerment of the women, and that she wanted to highlight. So this article also we need to focus particularly from the point of view of the women issues, and women in the representation, and women in the participation of the governance. And then here it is about the RBI monetary policy. So what is the RBI monetary policy? The purpose of the RBI monetary policy is to inflation targeting. So they wanted to keep the inflation at a rate of 4 plus or minus 2. So and then so the RBI tries to vary the repo rate. So based on the repo rate, whether inflation can be controlled or not, the decisions will be taken by the RBI. But here the RBI did not make any changes in the repo rate. So this article saying that intentionally the RBI is following the wait and watch approach in the crisis of the war in the Middle East, particularly the conflict with the Iran and the USA. And then this article is mainly about the elections. See, we know there are there are like elections happening in Assam, Kerala and West Bengal and Puducherry in the background of this one. So we can see this article. So in this article they are mentioning about the role of money, and then they also mentioned about the electoral bonds, and whether the electoral bonds are like we know the Supreme Court has banned the electoral bonds, and they also highlighted that the electoral bonds is not having any transparency mechanisms, and according to the some sections in the electoral bonds, the companies which are in the laws also, they're able to contribute to a particular political party. And they're also mentioning about the like how much money, like limits on the money that can be spent by the candidate. For the MPs it is 90 lakhs and MLAs it is 40 lakhs. Despite these limitations, despite the limitations on the money that can be spent, but it is much more higher than that of the actual spending. He is also mentioning that for 2024 elections, like 1 lakh crores has been spent in the elections. So he is mentioning all these aspects, and in this article also they are discussing about the state funding of the elections. So we need to read this interview, like it is very interesting. And then this is about the Jan Vishwas bill. So Jan Vishwas bill, and then it is about the Jan Vishwas bill. See, we know India is always trying to excel in the trade, like it wanted to promote the what we call we know India is an emerging economy. It is always trying to attract the investments. They are always trying to attract the investments. So investments through like various policies. So of late, if you observe earlier, there are the policies in India which like if there is a strict follower of the rules and regulations. Because of these regulations, sometimes if there is small violation of the regulation also, it is leading to the criminal charges. So if there are small violation in the these small procedural violations also, it is leading to a what we call criminal charges, and it is not attracting the investments. In order to overcome this one, so the government of India has brought in the Jan Vishwas bill. So under this Jan Vishwas bill, like 780 provisions across the 17 central acts has been decriminalized. So the article is about the like the reforms that government has brought to promote or attract the investments. So and here we can see the what are all the things they have mentioned in the Jan Vishwas bill, and it is also trying to make a separation between the what are the provisions which can be criminalized and what are the provisions which are like mere procedural formalities which cannot be criminalized. They are trying to segregate based upon this one. This is very important, particularly in improving the ranking in the ease of doing business. So we should know what is Gaganyaan mission. Gaganyaan is for the it is indigenous human space flight program. So here it is about like after entering the Earth's atmosphere. So what are the measures, how they will be getting back to the Earth, they have discussed here. And then we need to understand this one point called aerobraking. So aerobraking is the atmospheric drag. See, whenever the satellites enter back into the atmosphere, we have a phenomenon called aerobraking. So aerobraking reduces the speed of the satellite. See, and then satellite releases this what we call these parachutes, and then they will simply reach the Earth. So and then we should know who are the mighty tribe and where they are located. So mighty tribes. So actually, and CAPF means Central Armed Protection Force. So what is their purpose? See, people are protesting because there are some provisions in the CAPF which is not giving like enough weightage to the people who are recruited to the CAPF, and then higher posts, many of the higher posts were reserved for the person who cleared or reserved for the IPS personalities. So people are opposing it, and there is also issue of the pensions also and salary scale also. So that's why people are protesting it. So these are the news in the today. Thank you.